Hello, welcome to New York City. I'm Allison, the founder of Homeworthy, and I can't wait to show you our rooftop. Come on in.
All right, Allison, thank you so much for having us. It's so lovely to be here in New York, up on your rooftop terrace, and
Welcome.
getting to tour the space and share it with everyone.
I'm so thrilled to show it to you and all of your viewers, and a huge thanks to Ballard for making this vision come to life up here in the midst of New York City.
It is such a special place. I mean, how lucky you are to
So
have
lucky.
it.
So lucky. I mean, this is a complete dream come true for our family. I hunted for many, many months to try and find outdoor space. And we found this little gem, like a little diamond in the rough. And when we saw it, we could just see potential.
Yeah.
And we thought, like, how unique to have a greenhouse in the middle of New York City. I mean, unbelievable and such a gift.
It's like having an extra living room.
Absolutely. This is sort of going to be our main entertaining space, even in the winter.
It's amazing. You mentioned your apartment. You've been here like a little...
Just under a year.
Tell us about the space. Obviously, you have this amazing terrace.
Yeah.
But what else did you love about the apartment, and what made you kind of move in over here?
So I grew up in sort of a historic home, an old home that had creaky floors and high ceilings and sort of imperfect in a lot of ways. And when I walked into this apartment, I was immediately drawn to the wood-burning fireplace. That was like the one thing I wanted, was a wood-burning fireplace, and Michael wanted outdoor space. And trying to find those two things in New York City is like looking for a diamond in the rough.
Right.
So when we found it, we thought, this is it. How do we get this place? At the time, it was a white box. This is a rental apartment, so we've tried to reimagine it as much as we can while being renters, not doing anything that we can't easily reverse. But I love the idea of sort of having a layered maximalist type feel in the apartment itself. So we have pink walls and a lot of different textures and patterns and colors. And then we have this funny little staircase in our kitchen that leads us up to this glass space. And I wanted this space to feel different. I wanted this to sort of feel like you were seamlessly moving from the indoors to the outdoors. So I did something very brave, and I chose all white, even having a 4-year-old and an almost 2-year-old, because it just felt so clean and crisp, and that it blended in with sort of the greenery outside. We just feel so lucky to be here.
Yeah, it has a very... It has some of those traditional notes that you have downstairs, but the all white and sort of the simple palette makes it like blend with the skyline and all your plants.
Exactly. But I love sort of the showstopper of the curtains, the green and white. I just think there's something kind of tropical about it almost. And I love the color green, obviously. It's kind of Homeworthy green. And Elise, who I worked with at Ballard, unbelievable. She helped me through this design process. And I think it was Elise that sort of like led me to this idea of putting curtains up around the entire greenhouse. I hadn't really thought of it because I thought that it would block too much of the view, but it's really practical because, one, it sort of hides some electrical work behind us. It also is great for keeping sort of the heat out and some of the cold out. You might not agree with the heat being kept out. We're like a little toasty in here, but it's just, you just feel cocooned and cozy in here. It makes it feel more like a proper living room.
Yes. Okay, so you mentioned working with Elise at our Manhasset store, and your vision was very, white, calm, little tropical inspired. What about the function of the space? What did you want to do with, how were you going to use it?
So we love entertaining. We love to have people over. We also have 2 kids. So we want it to be practical for children, yet sophisticated for entertaining and for adults. So we went with performance fabric, even though it's white, it is performance. So we'll come up here in the morning before the kids go to school and have coffee, and James will be playing with his trucks, and Grace will be also playing with trucks because she has an older brother, and we'll just have really nice family time up here. And then at the same time, he just had 10 friends over the other night. He had a guys' night, and I told them they weren't allowed in the greenhouse. I said, "You're not allowed in here. Ballard is coming to film. You have to be outside for now." But
next time
they'll be, having chats on these couches. But I wanted this to be a space where we could have cocktail parties, or a couple friends could come over just for a glass of wine or a cup of tea, and have the doors open, feel the breeze coming through. We have this great table over here for 4, so we can have an intimate dinner party, but also you could use it as a buffet station, and you can have 20 people over for cocktails and just have food set up over there. So I think there's a lot of different ways that we can entertain, which is, it's nice that the space is so multifunctional.
Right. That's what you were looking for. So,
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And Elise showed up, and she had her binders of fabrics and her bags of rugs. She just showed up with everything, and it was so much fun to look through samples with her because she had so many ideas, but she also really understood the vision that I had and respected it and worked with it and helped me get there. She didn't try and pull me in different directions. She understood sort of what I wanted and helped me get there, which was so nice.
So nice to have just sort of a person to bounce ideas off of.
Exactly.
Because that is the hardest part of the design
she was
process.
like, how about these lamps? Or I remember when I went into the Manhasset store, I saw this coffee table, and I was like, this coffee table will be amazing. I love how big it is. You can have tons of drinks on here if you've got 8 people seated. You could have snacks. I'm a coffee table book collector, so I have them all out here.
You do have a big coffee table book collection. I love it.
I know. I have a problem, actually, but it's my guilty pleasure.
Well, they're the perfect accessory.
Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
You mentioned a cocktail party. That seems like it would be a fun way to do something with your work, with Homeworthy.
Yes. So we'll entertain up here just for fun, non-work related. But also, this is such an amazing space that as we think about ways that we're expanding the brand, the idea of a podcast is something that we're entertaining. And I think this could be a really beautiful space for that. For authors who have new books being launched, I think we could have book parties up here, or book signings, or just a gathering of, a small group to have sort of a book talk. So I think the opportunities are not only endless for personal, but also professionally and for Homeworthy, because it is that Homeworthy green.
True. I didn't even think about that. Well, we're such fans of your channel and all of the gorgeous spaces you take us to.
Well, vice versa. So thank you so much for having me on your channel.
I know. Well, people just want to see how real people live. And so
I agree.
It's fun to get to share that.
I agree. Well, one of our favorite tours actually that we ever did was with Karen Mooney.
Yes.
And Karen, I remember, had this fabulous home, very sort of traditional upstairs, some neutrals with a couple little surprises here and there. But then when we went downstairs to the basement area, it was really bold and colorful. But I will never forget the rosé on tap.
I know.
The most brilliant addition to a home. I mean, that house must be a party house.
She's a great hostess and loves to have people over. And yes, you're right. Upstairs, she has sort of a more neutral vibe, but downstairs, it's like a little jewel box.
But she was a fabulous host, and it was so fun to get a peek into Karen's world. And I don't know, maybe we should do a part 2. I bet it's always evolving.
I'm sure she's always changing stuff around.
Yeah.
A lot of folks around the office who love to decorate. So it's always fun to
you guys get to be the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
You get to sort of test out the product in your own space and see what it looks
We're like client zero. So
that's a pretty good gig.
With the coffee table, you also have the little side table. And we were talking about Bunny Williams earlier because she's such an inspiration to both of us. She always says that you have to have at least one little drink table next to every single seat. So that
this is
was
perfect.
The perfect one. Right.
It's because it's so narrow that it, we don't have an enormous amount of space here, and this was sort of petite. And it was just perfect for a cocktail napkin or a little cashew bowl or chips. I love like a little potato chip out at a cocktail hour. So I thought this was just perfect. And it obviously matches with the big coffee table. Not too matchy, but goes really well together.
It's a great footprint.
And I also told Elise when I walked into the Manhattan store, I loved these cups. Sort of the tortoise color. I just was, I don't know. Such good things.
The tortoise with the bamboo has that very sort of like, Jamaican kind of like.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going for. Yeah, exactly.
It all
exactly.
works, especially with the green color, like the leafy green palm.
Yeah,
kind of.
and we kept it simple, but she really helped bring out sort of some character and interest with the different patterns on the pillows. Like we kept all the furniture white, but then she had all these pops of pattern, which were really fun.
I love the chaise. This seems like such a great use of space.
I think it's really perfect for conversation. You could have two people facing this way, but you could also have you could almost have four people on it like back to back where like two people are facing this way and two people are facing the other way. I don't like it when there's not enough places for people to sit. So I wanted different options. And at first I thought it might be too busy in here, but it's not. I think it's perfect.
It's not. I'm always struck by how designers fit way more into a space than I ever would. And it never seems crowded. Like you kind of can fit more. The more stuff
I
you
know.
can fit in.
I sort of like a little crowded, but it's like the idea the same with jewelry. You used to like put a lot on and then you could take something off if it doesn't work. It's I think better to put something in and then you can just take it out and find another home for it.
Yeah.
So
you also have this great bar cart over here.
Yes.
And do you just like keep that stocked all the time?
I love an interesting bar cart. Sort of things to look at. So I've got my little mini cans of Coca-Cola because I love a Coca-Cola. I collect little vintage trinket trays. So I've got a little silver plate shell that I love, and I put limes and lemons on there for drinks. I personally don't know how to make a martini, but I do have the ingredients for a martini on the bar cart. But I like to keep it stocked because you never know when somebody's going to pop over for a drink or a glass of wine or a cup of tea. So I like to always be prepared if I can. I also have an enormous amount of glassware just sitting on the bar cart because what I found is it's better to kind of have duplicates when you have a staircase that you have to navigate. That way I'm not constantly carrying stuff upstairs. A set lives up here.
Smart.
We've got a really lovely set of melamine plates that are also Ballard. They're these pretty blue and they kind of look like they have brush strokes on them. One, they don't break. And two, I thought about going with green actually because you have green, but I decided to just go with blue. I thought it might break it up a little. You might see Michael, my husband, like at the outdoor shower, like cleaning off a plate because he doesn't want to go downstairs.
I mean, it's nice to just have it here. So but the dishes is a little tricky, but hey,
I know. Well,
whatever works.
His idea is to get a plastic container up here with a bunch of soap and do the dishes up here so he never has to cart anything downstairs. That's not a bad idea.
It's like what you do camping.
I know. I'm just like afraid we're going to like see some neighbor and they're going to be like, what are they doing out there washing their dishes on their terrace?
Well, luckily, not very many people can see you because you have this incredible view.
I know. We are somewhat protected. I do still require that he wears a bathing suit when he does his outdoor shower, though, because you never know. People in New York have binoculars and they're like, you never know who's looking at you.
People always worry so much about matching and like do these colors match?
Right.
And it's always to have a nice reminder that
it doesn't have to.
They don't have to match. Like they can be similar.
Makes it more interesting, I think, if they're slightly off, which is why I went with my random blue plates, but I love them.
Yeah. Well, and they would work downstairs. They could work upstairs.
And they can work outside and I don't have to worry about them breaking.
I did want to mention that, it's nice to have this fabric because it's also UV protectant.
Absolutely. And it's something I hadn't actually really thought of, and Elise mentioned it. And it's a really valid point because there's so much sun that comes into this space that I think in a matter of a year or two, you could have a really worn-looking couch and chairs.
Yeah.
And I guess this just doesn't do that.
Yeah, it doesn't fade, which I think is not something that you always notice until you like need to flip a cushion over. And then you're like, wait,
these are two different colors.
Yeah.
The question is, are my children going to come up here with Nutella on their hands?
Well,
that is the question.
Always get it out. So
I know I can always get it out because it's performance.
Yes.
I try not to let the ages that they are right now totally dictate how we live. They're really good kids, and they might scare me once in a while running around with a marker. I try to just be easy about it, and they kind of know that it just belongs on paper. But every once in a while, I see these chocolate hands coming, and I, where are those going?
Yeah.
But so far, so good.
I think that you would have that reaction regardless of your furniture. When you see chocolate fingers, it's
anywhere,
like, no.
Anywhere. Regardless of whether or not it's white or not. But the good thing is they cannot come up here alone. So
yes, true.
They are with us, and their hands are usually clean.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to stay white for a while. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to withstand the sun and withstand little tiny hands.
Yeah. Tell me about the outdoor space a little bit, because you do have some seating out there, and I imagine you just like, how would you not spend every single day, a beautiful day out on the
We do. We really do. The kids have their little radio flyers and their little bikes that they're scooting around on. And what's really sweet is we actually have I guess we don't have a vegetable garden. We have an herb garden. And we'll go over and pick some rosemary to cook with, or some sage. And it's really just a nice ritual to do with the kids. Just to, they are city kids through and through. They were both born in New York City. They love this city. But it's nice to give them the opportunity to sort of be amongst greenery and have that feeling of watering plants or going to pick some herbs that we can cook with, which is a really special feeling. And giving them the hose and saying, go water and they love that. They love this sort of, that feeling of, it's like our backyard.
Yeah.
Our terrace is really our backyard. And it's just really special for all of us to have this time together. This jute is so comfortable. And especially with young kids, I find that they are the most honest critic because, like James will say, this hurts my feet, but not about this. We all love being barefoot on this jute rug. It's so soft. We just come up here barefoot in the morning. So it's, and I also like it because it's durable. You know, like if something spills, it's not too precious. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And it really pulls off that Jamaican kind of look. Like it has a very
kind of natural,
like coastal,
beachy,
laid back. Yeah.
Yeah. It just hides a lot of sins. You know, I don't.
Well, you know, kids are always playing on their hands and knees. They're laying on the ground. So they're always like touching the rugs more than we are.
I joke that James, our 4-year-old, started crawling, or actually started walking at sort of a younger age than he should have, because we in our old apartment had a really uncomfortable, scratchy rug, and I don't think he wanted to be crawling on it. So he's like, I got to get off this. I'm just going to start walking.
Hey, you know what? Whatever.
They just do whatever they have to do. But this is super lovely and really, really comfy. And I love these lamps. I think these are the Suzanne Kasler,
yes.
Collaboration. I think they just have a nice shape and a nice kind of like a different tone of green. You hear that ambulance? You're in New York. You can't forget that you're in New York City. I hear ambulances all the time. You might feel like you're in Jamaica, but then you remember you're in New York.
Well, thank you so much for having us. It was so nice to be here and get to show everyone around, and love getting to see this space in person finally.
Thank you for everything and for coming to see this little oasis in the sky. It was such a treat to have you.
Been a delight. For more conversations like this one, be sure to subscribe to our podcast, How to Decorate, and follow our YouTube channel for more house tours like this one.